This is Speakipedia Media, brought to you by Speakipedia.com. Want to expand your speaking and storytelling skills and grow your influence business? I'm your host, Dave Bricker, bringing you straight talk and smart strategies from visionary speakers, thought leaders, and storytellers. Today's guest was the youngest award-winning executive in a multinational corporation. He started his career as professional speaker and consultant in Brazil in 1996, becoming an inspirational expert on management and influence who helps his clients with leadership, sales, and service excellence strategies that maximize profits while improving customer satisfaction and talent retention. With 16,000 hours on stage, he's delivered more than 3,600 live presentations to hundreds of organizations, small, medium, and large, in more than 20 countries. Please welcome business speaker Fabio Marques.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Dave.
So good to have you, Fabio. So let's start off with the big question. How did you get into speaking? What is your big story?
Well, when I was that young executive for that multinational corporation, I somehow managed to make this big turnaround, a business unit that was failing, that was losing money, and in 2 years and a half, that business unit became the third most profitable in the world, and we were in 120 countries. So they started asking me to share what I have done in Brazil to other countries, in Latin America, and then Australia, and then the United States, and then Japan. And I enjoy speaking, right? So, and then suddenly one thing that happened that was not very, very pleasant, let's say, I was invited to be the international Latin American director for that company. But my president in Brazil said, no, you're not going. I said, why? Because you're too young. I was only 25 years old. And he said, no, I'm not going to allow you to be promoted to this high position at a young age like that. And I said, okay, how much time should I wait? He said, 10 years at least. So at that point, I realized maybe my career at that company was finished. So I decided, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And I decided to start helping other companies with management and influence strategies so they can grow and be successful. And since then, I've been doing this. I really enjoy what I do. And it's been a journey. And I'm very happy with my decision at that time. And of course, it was very tough. A lot of people told me I was crazy. I was throwing away a very high salary executive position to start as a young, professional speaker. My wife threatened to leave me, to be honest. She said, no, I married a rich executive, not a poor consultant and speaker at that time. But somehow I managed to do it. And 1 year later, I got my first big contract with a very big company in Brazil. And that was the beginning of my journey as a professional speaker.
So Fabio, I'm going to dig a little deeper because I heard you tell the story once that I remember and loved, which was there was a software, I think it was a medical software company, and the sales team was going to take over and do this trade show, as I recall. And you ended up saying, no, I want the engineers to do it. And there was a big bet involved, and you put yourself out there and a lot of money on the line, and you crushed it. Can you share that story?
Yeah. There are two stories, actually. This one is very, very, very interesting because I was still this executive and I was in charge of the medical equipment, was equipment for surgical equipment, lasers, ultrasounds, and all those kind of equipments, right? And that guy from sales, he was the guy from sales. He was making fun of my team because we were engineers and technicians. And he said, oh, you don't know how to sell. You just install the equipment and you leave the space because my team will make a big sale in this trade show. And I said, no, this time my team will be there and we're going to install the equipment and we're going to sell to doctors and you're going to stay away. And we bet our salaries, my 1 year salary against his 1 year salary, that my team would sell much more than he used to sell in other trade shows. So we arranged everything and my team installed equipment and we stayed 4 days and we sold 4 times as much as he used to sell. And he had to give me his 1 year salary. He never paid, by the way. But anyway, I won the bet And that was how I proved to everybody in that company that we technicians and engineers we were able to know how to sell, how to influence with total integrity, and we were able to reach better results and even people in sales at that time. I'm not saying I don't like salespeople, because I am salespeople. I'm a salesperson myself, but I'm saying that we don't have to be the old kind of salespeople to sell. You can sell with total integrity. You can sell with information, with precise data, really helping your clients and adding value to their experience. That's the best way to sell, and that's how I've been selling ever since.
Love that. And we'll get a little deeper into that, but I've always enjoyed that story. And I hope you get to see that guy once in a while, just so you can say, hey, I'm waiting for my money.
No,
But
actually, that guy, years later, he was kind of arrested because he was stealing money from the company he was working for. Yeah, that guy was
well,
not a good influence.
there you go. So, as professional speakers, we're all challenged to turn ideas into income. And what approaches have you taken to turning your experiences, your life experiences, into income streams? So, we just got the story of how you became a business speaker, but what else in your life, your upbringing or outside experiences or hobbies have contributed to you coming up with all of these uh, wacky methods and strategies and things that you've come up with and shared?
It's an excellent question, Dave. And no, a lot of things happen to us, and we as professional speakers, we need to be always alert how we can turn that thing that happened to us into something valuable to our clients, right? So as you're always, teaching me and my friends how you tell your story in a way that it becomes their story as well, right? And every human being, uh, we're always going through struggles, everybody, not only speakers, everybody. So everything that happened to me, I try to create some kind of connection with other people's struggles and problems. And many things happened to me. One thing that happened when I was 18, I had a car crash and I broke my spine in 4 places, right?
Mm.
I couldn't walk for almost 2 years. And doctor said I will never walk again. And doctor said I will never play sports again. And I was able to walk 2 years later. And I was able to play sports again 22 years later. From 18 until 40, I was only doing physiotherapy and trying to recover myself and put my body in a place where I could play sports again. So it took me 24 years to play sports again. And then I came back to martial arts when I was 40, and I became a Pan American champion 2 years later in my category, right? So for me, that is a true example of how we can, if we really want to, we can overcome obstacles and we can, win again. We can do whatever we want if we really put our minds into it. So when teaching leadership or sales or negotiation or even motivational speeches, right, I try to make people realize the heroes they are, everything that they've, that they have overcome and all the obstacles they have, surpassed, and all the troubles they have been able to manage, because all of us had a lot of problems, right? And all of us, somehow, we managed to overcome those problems. So my story is only one example, and I know in the audience, there are always all other stories of people who had gone through struggles and problems, and they somehow managed to, to come on top. So this is one story that really is very important to me, because you know how it is, right? Being able to move yourself, being able to play sports. You are a sailor, so you know how important it is to have autonomy with your body to do what what you want. So, and in sales, in careers, and in business, we always want more autonomy. We want to be more independent. We want to be able to pursue our dreams and accomplish our goals. So I always try to connect that story not only to personal victory, but professional and business victory as well, because it is.
Yeah, love that. And we back to this thing that's so important, which is being the guide so that the people in the audience can become the heroes. It is not, so many speakers get up and they have that eye infection and they talk about me, and they
Yeah.
miss the point. And they wonder why people aren't listening. So another, excuse me, another aspect of speaking is we often get asked what our topic is. So I'm the storytelling speaker, and Brewster Kell's the branding speaker, and you're the sales speaker. But that so misses the point because we're really in the business of producing outcomes. So, what transformation do you deliver? What problems do you solve, and for whom? How do audiences get value from your programs?
It's an amazing question, Dave. My mission as a speaker is to help people believe in themselves and make them confident enough and competent enough to sell ideas, products, and services with total integrity, right? So a lot of people have some kind of paradigms. They believe in order to be a great salesperson, you have to somehow trick clients into your proposals, and a lot of people feel embarrassed or ashamed of being in sales. So everybody is in sales, you know that, right? You have to sell products, services, ideas, concepts, whatever, and you have to feel good about doing this. So my mission, really, the transformation I generate in my clients is by the end of my speeches or my training workshops, they really believe in themselves and they believe they're able to sell ideas, products, and services with total integrity, with amazing results, amazing profit margins, and feeling great about themselves because they're actually adding value to their clients, right? They're not really tricking anybody. They're adding value through their solutions. They're adding value to their clients in a very legit way. So that's my mission. Help people find ways to feel motivated, to feel inspired, and to feel confident enough to sell ideas, products, and services with total integrity and feel great about it.
I love that. And you and I could have a long philosophical conversation about selling. I always like to say begging never helped a relationship. That's not what selling is all about. The transaction comes after the sale, after they've asked you, how do I do business with you? But let's continue on this thread as it relates to some of the people in our audience who are thinking, wow, how can I get more speaking gigs? And how do I communicate my value? Because so many of us struggle with selling. And what's that about? How can we become more effective at selling the value that we as speakers bring to events and organizations?
Perfect, perfect. I created something called Magna Influence, right? Which is like a blueprint to sell with less effort and faster. So what is Magna? Well, the definition of Magna is something of great distinction, right? So something special. This is Magna. All right. But I also created a kind of acronym for the word Magna. So Magna means M is motivations, M aspirations, G goals, nurturing agreements. So motivations, aspirations, and goals, nurturing agreements. This is Magna, right? So in order to sell, if you're a speaker, a consultant, whatever, you need to understand what are the motivations of your clients, the motives to action. What motives will put them into action and buying from you, right? So everybody has motives. And there are usually 6 categories of motives for anyone to buy. Either they want to make more money, either they want to save money, either they want to make their life easier, they want to feel protected, in other words, reduce the risk, they want to feel great about themselves and what they represent, or they want to just feel the thrill of something good, right? So these are the 6 categories. So when I'm trying to sell to anyone, I first need to understand, why do you want to do what you want to do? Everybody comes to us with a need, right? They say, I need this, or I have this objective. Every time I listen to this, I have this need, I want to do this, I need this. I ask them, why do you need this? Why do you want to accomplish this? Why is this so important to you? And by asking why, I find the motives to action, right? So I start understanding what are the motivations of my potential clients. And then after I understand this, I ask them questions to help them build a dream, right? Aspirations. So by solving this, what do you want to accomplish? What is the end result you want by doing this, by having this training, or by solving this problem? So they start creating in their minds their dream, their aspiration. And this is super powerful because now I have the motives that comes from the past, pushing them forward, and I have aspirations coming from the future, pulling them forward, right? So I have double forces now. And this is helping my clients see what is possible, where they are and where they want to go, right? So they feel like I'm already the bridge. I'm helping them going from the past, their pains and past, their motives to action, and taking them to the future, their aspirations. This is good.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second because this just dovetails with storytelling, because what you've set up is conflict transformation. You're building a story. Love this. So continue, but had to interject that.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. So that's what we're doing. They're telling me their story when I ask them about their motives, right? They're telling me their story, and I'm creating a path so they can overcome the obstacles and the conflict and reach their dream goal, which is their story as well, right? Who they want to become, where they want to go. So, and I am the bridge. I'm positioning myself as the bridge. And then to really close the deal, I go to goals. So motivation, aspirations, and goals. I have to help them see their dreams and short-term goals now, step by step. So that's when I start asking them, what are the short-term goals they need or they think they need to accomplish to build that path to their dream. And I help them define those step 1, step 2, step 3. And that's when they look at me and they go like, wow, this is the person that's going to help me. When they see me as this guide, taking them from step 1, step 2, and step 3 towards their dream, and when they feel like I understand their motivations, this guy understands me, this guy understands where I want to go, and this guy is helping me build this step 1, 2, 3. That's the precise moment I feel like I have them. They look at me and they think, this is the guide I need. This is the person that's going to help me get there. And that's when I close the deal. So nurturing agreements, motivation, aspirations, and goals, nurturing agreements. I nurture the agreement at that point, and then we go to the transaction phase. But the sale
which is
done.
Not part of it, right?
Yeah,
it's not magnet.
This is my blueprint to sell my speaking engagements and my training workshops and my consulting business.
And I love that. And it's a great thing for speakers because it comes back to that topic questions like, well, okay, they ask for a leadership speaker. Well, great. How many of those are there? Or they ask for a storytelling speaker or a sales speaker. The first question I always ask the client is, what outcomes do you want your audience to get? What are they looking? What are their troubles? What are they struggling with? How can I help? Because I can come in and run my mouth for 45 minutes as well as anybody, right? But so what? That's cost of entry. And when we find out, what are the people in the room dealing with? And when I can, it's like, are there any of the attendees I can get in touch with? Can I get on a Zoom call with some of the people who are going to be there? Mm-hmm. And, I learned all sorts of stuff. And then what do they say? Fabio, you were the perfect speaker for our event. It was like you worked for our company just because you lead by listening. So yeah. I love that. So
and one thing, Dave, is very important is when we act like this, as you're saying, we become really not just a speaker. We become a partner. And some of my clients have hired me more than 100 times. So I keep coming back. And, some of my clients are hiring me for 15 years in a row. Why? Because they see me not as a speaker. They see me as a business partner that can help them by speaking.
Right, because the speaker gets up on stage, runs their mouth, and leaves. Check, please. Thank you. I hope you liked it. But if you're offering value, especially if you're able to offer value in a 50-minute keynote, or a 90-minute workshop, and then they're thinking, wow, we grew from that. You changed our culture. You caused us to think differently. Wow, you're rewiring our whole organization. Why would they not want more of that? Because if you think about, well, whoever sells carrots and onions, well, they deliver value in excess of their fee, right? They charge a certain profit, and it's still worth it for us to flavor our soup with it. It's that simple. And people wonder, well, how can a speaker charge 10,000, 20,000, whatever it is that they're charging for a speech? And it's like, well, they're not charging for that 45 minutes. They're charging for that transformation that they deliver. And there are people who have that content, models like Magna, things that they can deliver. And all of a sudden that organization is just, wow, we changed our culture. We changed our model. Yeah, absolutely. Fascinating what the spoken word delivered dynamically is capable of.
Yeah.
So some of our viewers are new to the speaking game. And talk about being nervous when speaking in front of an audience, because we're speakers and we know how to come off as oh so confident. But have you dealt with nerves and imposter syndrome and all of that?
I really love that question because in the beginning, I don't know if you know this, I don't remember if I told you, but I was a stutterer until I was 18, right? I fall when I was 5, I hit my head, and I became a stutterer. So from 5 to 18 years old, I couldn't really speak, right? So I really was suffering from fear, stage fright. And every time I had to talk to someone, I was in fear, especially in front of an audience, right? And then I realized that fear is part of who we are, right? We have hundreds of emotions inside of us. Fear is just one of them, right? So if fear is just one of the hundreds of emotions we have, fear is part of me. And something that is part of me can never be bigger than the whole thing, right? So if fear is just one part, it will never be bigger than my will and my desire to do something. Then I created this trick around fear, another acronym. I created an acronym for fear. So for me, fear became fabulous energy to achieve results. FEAR, fabulous energy to achieve results. Because, fear is also called tension, like tension, right? And in the power outlet, you have tension. And without tension, like 110 volts or 127 volts, you don't have current. You need current to have energy, to charge your batteries. So if fear is tension, and if tension is necessary to charge your phone or your machines, so fear is not at all bad. It's just energy, fabulous energy to achieve results. So every time I feel a little bit anxious or nervous, in front of an audience, and my biggest audience so far was 5,000 people, and I was nervous at that time, and I felt, okay, this is fear, fabulous energy to achieve results. So I use fear to prepare myself. I use fear as a tension to produce more energy. So I feel more ready. I feel more excited to do my very best. And every time I go on stage, I think, this has to be, and I want it to be, my best speech ever. So I give it my all, my everything. So I don't care about anything else. I'm going to give my very, very best because I want this audience to feel, wow, I had so much value out of this. So they're going to forgive my flaws. That's how I think.
Love it. So you're tuned into Speakipedia Media for aspiring and professional speakers and thought leaders who want to make more money by changing hearts, minds, and fortunes. My guest today is international business speaker, trainer, and consultant Fabio Marques. So, Fabio, what else do aspiring speakers struggle with, and what advice can you offer?
A question I got a lot is, Fabio, how can I get to be hired by multinational companies, right? Because I have like 272 multinational corporations in my client list. And people ask me, Fabio, I've been able to speak to associations or to small businesses, but how do you manage to win those major clients of yours. So what I tell them is, listen, it doesn't matter the size of the company you're dealing with. You're always dealing with human beings, right? So focus on that human being in front of you. Really dive in a conversation. Try to really understand their motivations, their aspirations, their goals. Try to understand who they are, what they want to accomplish, what is their role, their position in the company, what do they need to get done. So when you connect with them, really understanding who they are, they will start trusting you. The more you understand their problems, the more you understand their position, the more you understand their struggles, the more they trust you as someone who can really help them. So I got most of my major multinational corporate clients by treating the individual in front of me as a human being. And sometimes that person is not working in a multinational company right now. But when you create that bond, when they go to a multinational company, they call you. And if they are in a multinational company already, they feel like they can trust you because it's a big responsibility, right? To hire a speaker for a multinational corporation event. So they want to be sure that you really care about them. You're not there for the money. You're not there for the status. You're there to help them solve their problems. If they feel you are honest and you are sincere in this intention of helping them succeed in their event or in training their teams, they will give you a chance. Sometimes you have to give them a sample first, like a free 2-hour gig or a free workshop, like a pilot, so they are absolute certain about your capacity to deliver. And that's okay. Because when you give this sample, later you're going to have like 50, 100, 200 groups to train or to speak to. And that would be the beginning of long-term relationship. And remember, always treat everybody you encounter as a long-term relationship.
Yeah, they say you meet the same people falling down the ladder that you do climbing up it.
Yeah, that's the secret. Treat everybody as human beings and try to help them and treat them as you're going to be with them for years. So your posture will change, your mindset will change. You will really focus on helping them instead of focusing on the fee. If you focus on your fee, you're going to have no fee at all. If you focus on delivering true value, you're going to have long-term success.
Love it. Love it. So, Fabio, let's talk a little about presentation skills because it's so important to have our models, story sailing, Magna. We have so many acronyms floating so many acronyms floating around in the presentation space, and these are good devices, but words without powerful delivery are going to fall short. So, what are some of your favorite presentation skills tips?
Wow, I have so many. I'll try to summarize them here. Well, I like to, in the beginning, it's very important to start well, right? So how do you grab their attention in the beginning? So I'm very, very focused on how am I going to start. And I have two favorite ways to start a presentation to grab people's attention, right? One, you probably love this, is starting right into a story, right? So and then comes the story, and people get, oh, what's going on, right? He didn't introduce himself, he's going straight to the story, and they see themselves already in a scene. So this is the best way to really grab people's attention and get them curious about what you're going to cover, right? And now, of course, I start the story, and then I interrupt the story to tell them about the point I'm going to make or the topic and the benefits, and then I go back to the story. This is one way to start. The other way to start is really give them a topic in a way that really sounds like a hook, like incites curiosity. How are you going to name your topic that is not boring, right? So think about as a book cover. what is the title of your book cover? If you want them to look at your book cover and stop and the bookstore and say, okay, I need to pay attention to this. So try to name your presentation as a very interesting book title, and the subtitle would be the main benefits of your presentation. You don't explain how they're going to get those benefits, but like a very, very interesting book title, like Brave Breakthroughs for Worthy Wins. For instance, Brave Breakthrough for Worthy Wins. People, what is he talking about? And then how to get unstuck, evolve faster, and achieve your goals. Something like that. And they go, all right. And then I go to the story, and then I start to develop all the lessons. So this is, I believe, one of the most important tips, how to start a presentation in a very interesting way, right? So these are my two. It's
so important because you've got an audience, and how often is that audience required to listen to you? Their boss says, we have a speaker and you're going to be there. Sorry that it's 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. You bring yourself and your hangover and you sit and you politely watch the speaker. And the poor speaker is like, okay, well, I've got an audience. They've all got headaches and they're just trying to coffee up and get through the morning. And so that opening makes such a difference because you can break through that fog, even if it's not so dramatic. People have been in corporations. They've been to so many boring presentations. They've been to the active shooter training, and they've been to the sexual harassment training, and they've been to the one that they really don't need, which is humor in the workplace, which they're going to claim to have invented themselves. But HR has to tick all these OSHA boxes, like we got this training, and so they're so fed up with boring presenters, and they're thinking, wow, another one. Can you break through with that opener and just own the room?
Yeah.
And what does that do for the company that brought you in? All of a sudden, it creates loyalty between the employees and the company instead of resentment. There's something we never talk about a good speaker delivering. So absolutely, openers.
Yeah.
Critical.
And of course, the way you close is also important, right? Because first impression matters and last impression lasts. So we need to know how to close a presentation in a way that we really make a point and we make people think and get into action, do something different with their lives, right? So because otherwise our presentation is pointless. At the end of our presentation, we need to be able to change behavior, change attitude, really guide people through this transformation. So we need to be
closing a sale, aren't you?
Yeah, we need to be very conscious about how am I going to end my presentation in a way that will make people think about what I just said and maybe even change their behavior right there. That's the utmost result of any presentation, change behavior right there.
And if you can do that, one of the behaviors that they come in as a skeptic, one of the changes is, oh, and I want to bring Fabio back for more because now that I know what he's got, I want to hire him to come back and do a series of workshops or whatever it is. And you don't just sell that, you earn that. And the delivering of value is the sales technique. So Fabio, you have, I forget, 16,000 plus hours on the stage, which is just insane. So I know you've got some disaster stories, time when things bombed or went sideways. What are one or two of those disaster stories, and how did you deal with those problems, and what can we learn from that? Because it's going to happen to all of us.
Yeah. Once I was hired to deliver a presentation to a group of doctors to a major hospital in São Paulo, and the doctor arrived at the venue like 7:30, and they started drinking whiskey, all kinds of alcohol. And my presentation started like 9:30, 2 hours after that. Most of them were already drunk. And we're talking about 360 doctors, more or less. And by the time I started, I believe 1/3 of the audience was already vomiting, right? and falling off the chairs, and was crazy. And it was very tough to grab their attention, of course. And I remember I was delivering that presentation with my band, because I also have a live band to go with my motivational speeches, and we were trying to perform and talk, and so I had to make a decision. I had to really, okay, it's not possible to talk to 100% of the audience right now. I lost 33% of the audience. They're drunk, they're out of their minds, they're not listening. So I had to get off the stage, and I get down to a place where I could really divide the audience, right? From the most drunk to the least drunk. And I really focused on the least drunk part of the audience. And I started really talking to them table by table. I went table by table, talking to them like, like 6 feet apart maximum. When I was really talking to their eyes and moving myself, 2 hours moving and talking to them like it was a very intimate conversation. And the band was playing from the stage. I was singing from the floor and talking to them. And that worked. Those 66% of the audience that were not so drunk, they really enjoyed the presentation. They came to me afterwards saying that was genius what I did. And they didn't care about the drunk ones anymore. Nobody did. And but it was very tough. It was one of the toughest presentations I ever had to deliver, because they were really in no conditions to participate.
Yeah, there's a great lesson in that, because, I mean, that's an extreme example, but if you're the morning speaker, you have to let the meeting organizer know, please, if you're going to have people, waiters carrying trays and breakfast and stuff, I mean, people aren't going to listen to me. They're going to talk. I'll speak. You're hiring me. But if you want people to listen and get benefit, have me come in after they've finished the breakfast. Because food service going on, there's so much stuff that can happen in an event venue. And it's really, we're the professionals. The organizers of these events, they just think, oh, we'll have a speaker during dinner. Well, people talk during dinner and they eat. They don't listen. Yeah. So all of those things, timing of those presentations is important. I think it's critical that we offer what guidance we can. And if they don't want to take the guidance, at least they might come to us and say, oh, Fabio, I should have listened to you. But they know it's not you bombing. Yeah. So, Fabio, this has been wonderful. I could continue this all day. But if one of our listeners or viewers wants to discover more about you, where can they find you?
Well, the easiest way is FabioMarques.com or Fabio360.com. Fabio360.com, they have access to all my social media, all my websites in that address, Fabio360.com.
Love it. That's great. So let's sum up. Just to close, because closes are so important, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a number one takeaway you hope that our viewers and listeners will gain from our conversation today, what might that be?
Always think about your main motivation to be a speaker. And it cannot be only money, right? So why are you doing this? Why are you studying so hard? Why do you want to become a professional speaker? What is the difference you want to make in this world? This is the most important question for any professional speaker who wants a long-lasting career. You have to be absolutely clear about what is your main motivation to do what you're doing.
And that's the answer I expected and love from you. Fabio, thanks for being my guest today.
I thank you, Dave. You know how much I respect and admire you. And it's an honor to be here with you today in this amazing project you're putting together, helping aspiring speakers and professional speakers to be better at their job. So I really feel honored to be here today. I really want to thank you for that. Thank you for giving me this chance of adding some value to people that wants to change the world.
Good. And we got a chance to reconnect as well, which I'm grateful for. So I'm Dave Bricker, inviting you to explore the world's most comprehensive resource for speakers and storytellers at www.speakipedia.com. If you're viewing this program on social media video, please love, subscribe, and share your comments. If you're listening to the podcast, keep your hands on the wheel and stay safe. I'll see you on the next episode of Speakipedia Media.
Thank you, everybody. Have a fabulous day.